Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them, or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 4,139 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. My goodness, I've had videos pop off, but last week's popped off like crazy. We were 18 subs away from 4,000, and now we are closer to 4,150. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to all the new people. If you're interested in more of these DLC on disc games, there is going to be a follow-up video for that. I'm just compiling more of the games. But this week, I wanted to take a look at a video I've had an idea for a while, and that is games that were not released in North America. So we're talking about PAL exclusives, and some of them that were released in both PAL and Japan, or in some that were just released in Japan, but these are physical editions. However, I don't have any of them, just one of them. So yes, for you guys who like watching the thumbnail to see what games you have, sorry, I'm tricking you. Though some of the ones in the thumbnail are indicative of what's in the video. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check it out.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
So let's get started with a game I do have. The first game that really made me aware of these PAL exclusive Xbox 360 games just so happened to be region free. I saw was a video from a YouTuber named From the Void who did a lot of great coverage towards the end of the Xbox 360 shutdown and still does. Check him out. But one of the videos he covered was one I had to pick up, or one of the games he covers one I had to pick up, and that was the Triple Pack. So just in case none of you guys know about this one, this was a triple pack of, at the time, download-only games. So Beyond Good and Evil HD, ironically, just had another remaster come out last year. So before that, this was the best way of playing it. There's also a download or a on-disc version of From Dust, which is a very fun sort of God mode, black and white type game where you are manipulating islands and these tribal people are trying to survive big waves. And then the game that I didn't have that I wanted to pick up this collection for was Outland. And Outland is a cool game where it's very much a polarity shift, so something similar to how Silhouette Mirage or Ikaruga works, where you can polarize your character as either red or blue, and depending on which color you are, you can kill the enemies of that color and then go through the kind of the hazards that are that color as well. So it's not just as far as doing damage, it's also as far as level traversal, and it's got much more of a, I don't know if it's necessarily a Metroidvania, but it is a side-scrolling platformer that utilizes that polarity shift, but not like Silhouette Mirage, where that's just around fighting enemies. This one also has to do with traversing the level. But that was the first one that got me on the board as far as, oh, there are PAL exclusives. And at first I was just looking at region-free games, but now at this point, I kind of just want to get some of them just to have them. And I've seen one of the comments said that you can play region or PAL exclusives if they're backwards compatible on Xbox One and Series X. So I need to look more into that as well. But a game that I always like bringing up, and this one is kind of a cheat, so it's not PAL exclusive, but it has a PAL exclusive manual, and that game is Remember Me. This game needs more love, everyone. If you have not played this, pick it up. This is a AAA experience brought out by Capcom in 2011, 2012. It's got a gripping story, it's got a cool vibe, it's got a great Arkham-style combat. Just want to mention this one again, guys. This one is a good one. You should check it out. Now, one game that I really want to get that is not super expensive, but you know, all these Xbox 360 games, when they get around $30, $50, $80, that's when they start getting expensive. And a game that I really want to pick up that I have no way of playing, but it just looks interesting, is Gray Matter. So Gray Matter is a point-and-click adventure game, and it's made by someone named, I think it's Jane Jensen, who's responsible for the Gabriel Knight series. Now, I am not very involved in the PC scene. I do not know much about the point-and-click adventure days of yore. The only point-and-click adventure games I'm really aware of are, Maniac Mansion, and that's only playing it on the NES. I enjoy the genre from what I have played. And I think it's Tim Schafer. I don't know. But I do enjoy the genre, but they also can get very, very frustrating. I remember back in the day playing the Indiana Jones. It had to be the Search for Atlantis game where you could just get stuck and then you had to restart the game. I hate that. But from what I've read about Gray Matter, it sounds very, very intriguing. So it's broken into 8 chapters. The Xbox 360 version is probably not the best way to play it, if I'm being honest, because it is a true point-and-click adventure. You're most likely going to want a mouse. But in this game, you are a student trying to recruit other students for an experiment, and you manage to get 4, and then the professor gets a 5th one, and it says, congratulations, you were the 6th experiment. And then the game proceeds from there. It has a very 3D cutscene rendered look, and it looks, it looks like a PS1 game sort of thing with the pre-rendered cutscenes, which I like, or pre-rendered backgrounds, which I enjoy. I like that kind of style of going through the game. Maybe it even has tank controls. I mean, it's point-and-click adventure. It's not like it matters. But just looks very, very intriguing, and that is one that I'm probably going to pull the trigger on. Eventually, I don't know if I'll ever see it in person, but Gray Matter, that's probably one of the more highly sought after PAL exclusives that I've come across or seen. Now, another one that was available as a digital download on the North American Xbox 360, but did not get released physically. Now, it did get released physically on the PS3. In fact, there's even 2 versions of it on the PS3. One which was THQ, and then one which was THQ Nordic, I believe. And I think one of them is more expensive than the other one, even though it's the same game. And that is Painkiller, Hell and Damnation. So, once again, the Painkiller games apparently are a series. They started on the PC back in 2000, and there's quite a few games in the series. And this was according to Wikipedia, which, take that with a grain of salt, was a remake of the first game, but also a sequel. So what I take that to mean is that they remade it, but then they also continued the plot line. So more like a reimagining or a soft reboot, that kind of thing, which I'm down for. And one of the things that they added is they added a co-op mode. So another solid co-op game on the Xbox 360. Kind of regretting not buying it from the store now that I know that little tidbit. And it's your standard first-person shooter with big monsters. It's broken into chapters. I looked at some of the reviews back in the day, and they were not kind to it, calling it a throwback to a throwback. And funny, when I see that now, that actually makes me think that the game is probably better than I realize. It reminds me, maybe it's more like a Shell Shock 2 experience or something like that, where, yeah, it's got some, warts around the edges, but now, since it's been so many years since we've had just a pure fun first-person shooter kind of like that, level-based, I'm interested. So that's one to know that there's a physical release of it on the Xbox 360 in PAL territories. And it's also one of the more expensive ones. I think that one's around 50. Gray Matter's around 50. All these games that are PAL exclusive are starting to get sussed out. Though the one that's the most expensive that I've been able to find is also the most ridiculous. And if you guys are aware of PAL exclusive games, you probably know what the name of it is. And that is My Horse and Me 2. Yeah. This game goes for over $100 complete. And it's just a pony game. It's a game where you raise and take care of a horse. There's some, I don't know if it's equestrian. They have mini games, so you get the equestrian mini games, and then you can race them. But it's it's a game that should probably be more at home on, say, a Nintendo console than on the 360. You don't really these. You don't come across them. They're very hard to find, as it's a sequel to another game that isn't all that popular. But hey, that's just one that if you're looking for a complete obscurities and oddities on the Xbox 360, My Horse and Me 2. And also, it's region free. Yeah. So this is a game that I could buy and I could play and I could learn how to make my little horsey go neigh. I just made that up. Yeah, but that's another one to check out. Now, here's one that has me kicking myself. So I'll go into more into depth on this when I get into another video where I'm talking about games I missed the boat on. But there is a version of, so much like there's a version of Arkham City Complete, Arkham Asylum Complete, I was unaware that there was a version of Batman Arkham Origins Complete Edition. Now, it was only released in Germany, and it's got a almost Christopher Nolan-like cover showing Batman at an angle looking down, you know, very similar to the, it reminds me of the Dark Knight Rises poster. And on this version, it comes with all of the included DLC for Arkham Origins, which I completely forgot that game had. And now I am yet kicking myself again because I vaguely remembered back in the day seeing that they were doing a Mr. Freeze DLC, but it was coming out for Arkham Origins. And unfortunately, when Arkham Origins came out, there was a lot of just unfair, in my opinion, unfair expectation on the game, as well as just not giving it a chance because it wasn't being made by Rocksteady. And so I never picked it up. When I saw they were getting a Mr. Freeze DLC, it's called Cold Heart. I didn't get it, and now it's delisted. There's no way to get it. And I thought, oh, there's a version that comes with all the DLC. It's German. It's $100. Whatever. Let's buy it. I'll have it. I'll be able to play it without having to hack a system, which I'm sure I'll have to do down the line anyways. Well, we also are coming up against the mid-2010s history of no longer including DLC on disc. So that version comes with a code. So even if I manage to get one that's sealed, I still will not be able to get that Cold Heart DLC. I went online to see if I could purchase it still. I'm an idiot. Apparently it got delisted before the whole hub happened, or if it didn't, I'm just really stupid because I spent all this time going through and getting these DLCs. I even found the one for the frickin' the Road to Redemption or Hell on Redemption, whatever that game is, the Mad Fish DLC. I picked up that for $3 when I didn't have it, or Helen, damn it, what the hell is that game called? Anyway, it's the terrible one. But yeah, I don't have Cold Heart. So hey guys, if you have somehow downloaded that DLC onto your Xbox 360, congratulations, you have a delisted DLC that could give you a slight bump on if you ever tried to sell that. Kind of like the Silent Hills PT thing. Anyways, that is another one that did come out in a region. It was funny. I didn't know there was a complete version of Arkham Origins. There you go. All right. Now, next one I want to talk about. So this wasn't a PAL release. This was actually a physical release in Japan only. And I only just learned that this game existed, I want to say from an RNG Gamer video convention video. And then that's where I found out that you could still buy it on the Xbox store, but it was like $20 for this. Never went on sale. And we're talking about Death Smiles 2. So not Death Smiles 1, Death Smiles 2, which largely is just more of the same. So as much as I really enjoyed Death Smiles, if you want more of it, then that's what the second one does. Some people will say that the second one is not as great, and there was a release of Death Smiles 1 and 2 that came out for the Switch recently, though I've heard that the port is not the best, and so I still am kind of on the fence if I'm just going to buy the Japanese version just to have it. But that is one to keep your eyes out for. If you like Death Smiles, yes, there was a sequel to it, and you could have bought it on the Xbox store, but it was like, maybe it was $30. It was really expensive and didn't go on sale, which is just insane. I really don't understand why Microsoft wouldn't try and get some money for all that stuff that really is just going to sit there and rot. Now, another game that is interesting to talk about, which I never heard of before, but it's too funny not to mention. So this game is called Time Leap. So Time Leap is a visual novel game. So you play as one of 5 young ladies and basically read a lot of text and make decisions for them, and then those decisions lead to the outcome of the plot. It's apparently a toned down version of a PC game, so they ported it from the PC to the Xbox 360, and yeah, I can imagine what you end up doing in this game. Originally, I thought it was a game where you were romancing one of the 5 girls, but then in further investigation, no, you're playing as one of them. So then I guess you interact, stab some backs. I don't know. I'm not a visual novel guy. I can if I'm gonna sit down and read, I'm just gonna pull out a book. Why I don't know. I don't mind reading a screen. Don't get me wrong. I actually prefer like old RPGs because of that, because I can't stand the way the dialogue makes the game slow down. But yeah, has anyone ever heard of this game? It's one of those things where I came across it because I was looking through PAL exclusives. And when I say PAL exclusives, again, there likely is a Japanese release of it too, but we're talking about English speaking. So a PAL exclusive English speaking version. Now, another one that's surprising that didn't get released on the 360 in North America. It did get released on the PS3, and I'm guessing because the PS3 version did so badly, maybe they just canceled the port. But that game is Rambo. Yeah, just a Rambo game. How on earth was there a Rambo game for the 360 that did not release in America? That blows my mind. When I looked into it even more, the Rambo game takes scenes from the first 3 Rambo games. Now, I'm assuming this came out around when John Rambo came out, or maybe Rambo 5, but more likely John Rambo. So yeah, and it's a first-person shooter on rails game. So think of it like House of the Dead, where you move, or Time Crisis, where you move forward, you shoot all the enemies, and then you move forward again. So it's not your traditional first-person shooter, it's an on-rails experience. And it got plastered in the reviews. People said it was terrible. You know what? It probably is not great, but I gotta tell you, seeing Rambo on rails, I'm sold. Like that. And I watched some of the gameplay of it, and it looked so bad it's good that it's probably not something that I would go out and, like, I think the physical edition is around $38, at least whatever that translates to in Europe, and it's not region free, but that is one. If it was region free, I probably would have bought it yesterday. Like, it's so ridiculous and intriguing that I want to see what that game possibly could be. I mean, I guess I could get the PS3 version. So yeah, keep that under your hat. If you want to get some of these are on the PS3. Speaking of one that is on the PS3 as well as physically, that came out in Europe, that is another downloadable only game here in the States, and that is Under Defeat HQ, or HD, Under Defeat HD. So this is a game where on the surface it looked like a Desert Strike game, but it's actually just a vertical shooter. So it's a vertical shooter where you play as a helicopter, going around these levels, blowing up military stuff. Not much else to it, to be honest, not much else to it. But it has a physical version that released in PAL territories. We only had it on the Xbox Store. And I think this was one of the games that got discounted. It got discounted to like $5. I didn't pick it up. I didn't pick it up because I knew there was a PS3 version. And there also was the PAL version. Kind of wish I picked it up now, though. Not going to lie. Seeing some of the gameplay, it looks like some dumb fun. But that is another one to keep your eyes out for or be aware of. Or if you want to play it, there's a PS3 version. But it's pretty pricey. I think the PAL version's around $40. And the PS3 exclusive one here in the States, that's like a $50, $70 game now. Like, it's gotten up there. That's what happens with these games that generally people didn't know got released physically. All right, getting to the last couple here. So one that I have to mention is another one of those games that released physically in Europe, but not here in the States, and that is the Alien Breed Trilogy. Now, this one probably hurts me more than the rest. I have actively been trying to buy one of these, but it's not region free. It's about $38, $40. Like, all these tend to be around $40 to $50, likely because there are people like me that are going and buying them. But this one comes with all 3 games on the disc, 1, 2, and 3. I don't know the exact names, but 1, 2, and 3. And these games are isometric. They're not exactly twin stick shooters, but they're more like isometric run and gun. Kind of like that new Contra game that came out that was terrible. Not the last one that came out that was mediocre, the one before that. And they just look like dumb fun. And at the time, I just financially could not justify buying 3 more games that I think they were like $10, $15 each. Like, they did not get discounted all that much. If they were $5, shame on me. I probably should have just bought the damn things. But all 3 of them play the same. They add a little bit more as the trilogy goes on, but it's really, if you played one of them, you played all 3 of them. But if you like one of them, then you like all 3 of them. And that's one that I definitely want to keep an eye out for, because once again, I missed the chance to. It's funny how many of these were on the Xbox 360 store, and now, 6 months removed, I'm kicking myself. I'm like, yeah, I probably should have picked those up. All right, this next one is so ridiculous that I don't know. I've never even heard of the movie it's based on. And then there's a game on it. And that movie and game is called Iron Sky Invasion. So this is apparently a movie where moon Nazis invaded the Earth and we had to fight them off. Okay. It came out like 2011, 2012. That sounds ridiculous. But gameplay-wise is something that I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole. So it is a third-person spaceship simulator. So not like Dark Star or Project Sylphie, because it's more like Rogue Squadron 2, where you're behind the vehicle, so maybe I wouldn't hate it as much. But the thing that makes me intrigued on the game is that it is full of FMV cutscenes of, I'm guessing, the actors from the movie, or at least people pretending to take place in the movie, where it's just full of dialogue. Like, it is full of dialogue like you would not believe. And there's like 5-minute shots where you're watching one lady talk, and then you go and you see one of the moon Nazis, and yes, sign me up for this level of cheese. I love it. And so, gameplay wise, not for me, but that window dressing really has me intrigued. Maybe I'll look at some more Let's Plays of it and just see how bad the actual acting and dialogue is. All right, and then I believe this is the last one we're going to talk about, and it's a threefer. So I mentioned it the couple of times ago when I mentioned how I missed the boat on Autobahn Polizzi, which, yes, I know, not Polizia, Polizzi. Thank you, guys. I got roasted on that. But there were 3 additional sequels that came out that never got released in the States, and that would be Crash Time 3, Crash Time 4, and Crash Time 5. And I believe Crash Time 3 is called the Night Syndicate, 5 is Undercover, and then 4 is... it's Highway Nights, Syndicate, and then Undercover. So yeah, they have 3 different... whatever. Anyways, it's just sequels to Crash Time, but... looking into Autobahn Polizzi made me very interested in picking it up, because it's basically the flip side of the coin from the old Driver series. So in Driver, you would always play as the wheelman for a bunch of criminals and then escape in the city, but you could never leave your car. And not until like the later one where you could possess people. Well, in these games, in the Crash Time games, which I thought they were just racers, but actually looking into it, it seems like it's a mission-based game where you're playing as the cops going after the bad guys. So that does have me a lot more interested in it. And these games are, apparently each one is more expensive than the last, though from what I've read, the 4th one sold the best out of all of them. So what are you going to do? But anyways, that's what you get for this week, guys. Thank you all so much. I was so blown away by the response the video got last week. I have not had a video go off like that since the initial FOMO stages. So to see that happen now, when we're so far removed and all the other, all the other tourists have left this space, is very cool. And thank you guys for coming. All the comments, all the being respectful in there. I always like to remind you guys, I read every comment. I've just found that the more I interact in it, the less well the video does. I don't know if that's a YouTube thing or if people get intimidated, but hey, thank you guys again. I can't believe it. I just, yeah, it means the world to me. I love doing these videos. I love talking to you. I love exploring more of the Xbox 360 library. And thanks to basically the patron saint of this channel, Mr. Michael from Lake Oswego, we got a whole bunch of more games we're going to check out, because that mad lad sent me a bunch of sealed games. So we're going to be unsealing some games and playing them in 2025, because I really don't care about sealed games. We got some more oddities. We got more on this stuff. So a lot more Xbox 360 content coming, guys. And eventually we will branch off. But hopefully by then you actually like me, so that you won't just leave. But anyways, it's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.